Now we're focusing on tech, but think about it, whatever industry you're in, you definitely have skills that are transferable and relevant to the sustainability space. Is to not have a good understanding of ESG and just think that your tech skills are sufficient. As much as you are learning the programming, learn the ESG as well. Collect companies' data, analyze them and interpret them, and present them well so that board members, investors can see this data and use them accurately. Right, from 2028, companies will be required to report mandatorily using the IFRS S1 and S2. So if you're able to create ESG solutions, tech solutions that can solve some of the problems that we have in the sustainability space, that's it. It's not theory, it's practical. Hello everyone, good day and welcome to another episode on the Sustainability Grid. As always, I'm your host, Agatha Afenike, and if you're new here, welcome. On this platform, we discuss everything sustainability, the green economy, teaching people how to transition from whatever career path they are in into sustainability. Now, before we get into what we're supposed to discuss today, I want you to leave this video, go on your browser and type www.thesustainabilitygrid.com. On our platform, we discuss news updates from across the world, Africa, Europe, the US, everywhere basically. So we also drop career updates. By career updates, I mean openings in the green economy. If you are an ESG analyst and you're looking for a role, be it in Africa, Europe, everywhere across the world, we drop career updates every single day. So do that and then come back to this video because what we're about to discuss is very pivotal to your career as well. Okay, so let's get into it. Today, I'm discussing something quite different. I've been getting a few messages on LinkedIn as regards people trying to transition from whatever career path they are in into sustainability. And I found it very interesting as opposed to responding to everyone one by one. I've decided that this video will be particularly for tech enthusiasts that are looking to transition from the tech sector into sustainability. I got a LinkedIn message 3 weeks ago from someone called Daramola. I'll leave it at first name basis. And he had a few questions for me on how to transition from software engineering that he is currently into sustainability. And I told him I was going to record this video for him just so he can learn from it. And then every other person that asks questions as well can also learn from it. Okay, so let's get into it. The first question he asked me was, what skills from a tech background are most valuable in ESG? I'll take that again. Which skills from a tech background are most valuable in ESG? Now, the person asking me this question is a software engineer, so let's have that context. But I'm not going to be responding to just a tech person in software engineering. This response is for you if you're a product manager, a data analyst, you're a software engineer, you worked in customer success in the tech sector, this response is for you. What skills from a tech background are most valuable in ESG? Now we're focusing on tech, but think about it, whatever industry you're in, you definitely have skills that are transferable and relevant to the sustainability space. Having established that, I would also like to establish that ESG is moving from policy conversations into real raw data. The current challenge that companies that are supposed to report on their ESG footprints currently face is how to manage their sustainability data. Why? When it comes to ESG, when a company is required to report on their ESG footprint, this is not just environmental data that they are supposed to collect. They collect across social impact as well, right? So when it comes to the skills that travel best in sustainability from tech, I would say the most transferable skills currently are around data management, right? If you're proficient in SQL, Python, Power BI, you're very good at quantitative analytics. Your skills are very useful to the sustainability space. Now, I've listed them just so I'm not babbling and just so you have a full understanding of the range of skills that are relevant. Like I said earlier, companies are sitting on a mountain of sustainability data that they don't know what to do with. They need people who are proficient in quantitative analysis to collect this data, analyze them, and not just analyze them, but interpret them and present them, right? So beyond that, there's also GIS and remote sensing. Yes, GIS and remote sensing. When you're talking about climate data, environmental analysis, we need people who are proficient in these skills to be able to take this data and analyze them properly. All right, AI and machine learning as well. This is a big one. Why? Because there are solutions popping up from around the world around this. There's a good intersection between AI and the sustainability space, climate risk analysis that is still very much untapped in this side of the world. If you're able to understand how to use AI to interpret emissions forecasting, supply chain risk, you're in a good spot. You have a very good spot, right? There are opportunities in that space. Cybersecurity as well. Like I shared earlier, when people think about ESG, what they think is environment. ESG is much, much bigger than that. It is social impact. It is corporate governance. And a lot of companies currently are facing issues around data privacy, data governance, right? Responsible AI use. All of these are transferable skills. If you know your onions around this, you have transferable skills that companies are looking for, right? So think about that. Let me list that again for you just so you're aware. Like I said, data skills, SQL, Power BI, Python, Tableau. If you know how to use any of these instruments to collect companies' data, analyze them and interpret them and present them well so that board members, investors can see this data and use them accurately, you have skills that are transferable. If you know how to work around GIS, remote sensing, there are a lot of issues around climate, forestry, agriculture and environmental monitoring that are still very much untapped. If you can find a sweet spot around there, develop skill sets around that, you have transferable skills. There's AI and machine learning as well. Organizations are looking for people that have proficiency in displaying emissions data, supply chain risk data. If you can do that, sweet spot. There's also cybersecurity as well. With the evolution of AI and mass adoption of AI, companies are facing increasing risks in data management, data privacy, responsible use of AI. This is also a sustainability issue. Many people do not know, but it is also an ESG and sustainability issue. If you have proficiency here as well, you have something worth trading in the sustainability space. All right, so I think we've covered the first question. Let's move on to the second question. All right, so the second question is, what areas of ESG offer the best opportunities for someone from tech? Like I said earlier, a lot of companies are dealing with huge databases of sustainability data that they do not know what to do with. I promise you, if you're able to be efficient in all the skills I mentioned earlier, Tableau, Power BI, Python, SQL, you have skills that companies need, because currently regulations are evolving in the ESG space. They are not just evolving, they are becoming mandatory. So a lot of companies need to report, not as a matter of I want to look good, right? Because many times, or in the past few years, companies are reported on ESG and sustainability as a feel-good thing, like it's voluntary. So I'm just doing it to appear to look good, to be a good business, right? But currently, ESG frameworks are becoming mandatory. In Nigeria, right, from 2028, companies will be required to report mandatorily using the IFRS S1 and S2. That's the International Financial Reporting Standard S1 and S2, which are all sustainability disclosure standards. From 2028, it's no more a voluntary obligation. It's now mandatory. When it gets to that time, companies will be looking for people who can manage their data, analyze it, present it, so that they're able to report to all of these bodies that require them to submit their sustainability information. So yes, ESG data and reporting is a good opportunity for someone who wants to transition from tech into sustainability. I would also say ESG as a software SaaS, right? ESG as SaaS. So software as a solution. Interestingly, I've been seeing a lot of ESG solutions pop up everywhere. There are people releasing software solutions that can monitor organizations' ESG footprints. There are people releasing ESG solutions around reporting. There are a lot of ESG solutions popping up. For example, I know about Watershed. I know about Sweep, Terrascope, Cority. All of these are ESG solutions, either in the climate space, in the reporting space, or even in the data management space. So ESG softwares are in currently. There's a lot of gap to fill there, especially for African data. You know, many times we like to import Western solutions to our African context. I know when it comes to sustainability, the requirements are uniform across board, but there's nothing quite like There's nothing quite like creating a solution that is tailored to the African context. So if you're able to create ESG solutions, tech solutions that can solve some of the problems that we have in the sustainability space, that's a good opportunity for you. So think about that. More so, we have companies like Bloomberg, MSCI, Sustainalytics that already have teams in place that report on how companies are reporting on their ESG footprints, right? So they are collecting data from different companies and are reporting on what the outlook is for the ESG space and sustainability space. If you can go on this website, find out what kind of ESG analyst positions they've been hiring for, check the JD. What are they looking for exactly? Look through the JD. Then you can know what are the gaps in my CV that I can start to cover for. That's a good place to start. I'm going to repeat it again. MSCI, Sustainalytics. There are a couple of them that manipulate ESG data. By manipulate, I mean walk around ESG data from different companies. Look through the roles that they've had to hire for recently. The ESG roles they've had to hire for recently, and then look through the JD. What were they looking for? What are the gaps that I currently have in my own CV, and how can I cover for them? So that's a good place to start. On the African side, companies are looking for software that they can use to report on the IFRS, evolving regulations. When you're importing software from across the world, the cost is usually higher. You find that they're billing you in dollars. Why don't you start to think about making homegrown solutions like this that companies in Nigeria or in Africa can start to use? So that's an opportunity for you, Daramola. Look into it. Okay, so there's also climate risk analytics. This is another strong path. If you don't have mind, don't go there, right? Because this career path requires manipulating strong quantitative data, right? So there are companies in the financial sectors, banks, insurance, pension funds, investors, right? They need to be able to access certain funds. Let me start from there. To be able to access certain funds, you need to be able to report on if you've done your stress testing. Have you done your fiscal risk, like climate risk are divided into fiscal and transition risk? Have you done all of that? If you're able to present climate data to your investors, they're able to look and say, okay, so maybe my funds are safe or they're not safe. So banks, insurance, pension funds, investors are looking for people with these capabilities that can help them look into companies they are looking to invest in. Right? So think about it. Climate risk analytics. What are the climate risks that businesses face? And how can I develop skills to cover for that? Because a lot of this risk analysis will not happen manually. They require tech. They require understanding of quantitative data. They require programming. So that's an opportunity that you can tap into as well. Let's move on to question 3. Your third question is, what skills, what certifications or experiences would you prioritize in the next 6 to 12 months? This is as a tech person trying to transition into sustainability. You want to know what skills, certifications or experiences to prioritize for the next 6 to 12 months. Okay, so let me start with the fact that as someone that has been in sustainability space for a while, one of the biggest mistakes I see people make is to just keep acquiring certifications. You look through some people's CVs and they have so many certificates from known and unknown places. They're just stacking it up and stacking it up and stacking it up without actual work experience. There's no work experience. You just have a lot of certifications. And the thing with sustainability is that it's an area of work that you need to put your hands to. It's not theory. It's practical. It's very, very practical. So what I would say is spend the first 1 to 3 months looking through companies' sustainability reports. There are a lot of companies in Nigeria that release their sustainability reports annually. They even have a track record of sustainability reports at least for the last 4 years. I can name Dangote. I can name MTN Group. I can name even Stanbic IBTC. They are doing well with sustainability reporting. Go through their websites, download their sustainability reports, and then start to analyze it. Right? Move their climate data or their environmental data, their social impact data, their corporate governance data into a software, analyze it, make your findings, and then do what? Put it out on LinkedIn. I went through the sustainability report of GTCO. These are my findings from their environmental data. These are my findings from their corporate governance data. I found this interesting. I found that interesting. Put it out on Power BI and then display your findings for everyone to see. Even tag the company if you need to. Tag GTCO and say, these are my findings from an analysis I've done from your company's data that you put out, publicly available data. I see people do this all the time in designing, programming. They take projects on their own, do them and put them out. That's also a skill that you can transfer to the sustainability space. Download as many sustainability reports as you can find and start to analyze them. Put out your findings on LinkedIn. People will start to engage with you. Before you know, you start building a track record that this person is not just a tech person, but this is a tech person in the sustainability space, right? Then you even start to build a network of like-minded people like you who are trying to have a good blend of sustainability and tech. Let's try that. Okay, so when you've done that, then you can start to look for credentials. So some of the credentials that I have, and this is very well known on LinkedIn, although I need to update my LinkedIn. But so far, I have a CFA investing certification, ESG investing certification. This is useful if you want to work in the financial sector, right? There are many ESG openings that the financial sector puts out every other day. But if you want to find a way around ESG data management and reporting, you need to get the ESG CFA investing course. I think it's free. I don't remember, but I think it's free. Look it up, the CFA ESG investing certification. Almost everyone has it. I think I've seen it on almost everyone's profile. Almost every sustainability professional has it on their profile. So I think it's free. So look it up and start to make your inquiries on how you can take the course. Another one is the GRI certification, the GRI professional certification. I have that and it's not free. You will pay in pounds, not even in dollars, in pounds. At the time I took it, I don't remember how much I paid. I think almost £1,000. Yes, it's a very comprehensive course from one of the strongest regulators in the ESG space, the Global Reporting Institute. So if you can get a certification from GRI, perhaps you have £1,000 that you have a free £1,000. You can take the GRI certification. I promise you, anywhere you go to and you'll tell them, I have a certification from GRI, everyone is going to pause and listen to you. Yes, because there are two regulations currently in the sustainability space that holds water currently. GRI and the IFRS S1 and S2. If you can get any of those certifications, it will open any door for you, aside from having projects like I have said. Alright, so there are also free courses that the ISSB Foundation has put out. You need to go and check them out. The IFRS S1 and S2, the ISSB has given a good breakdown of what these standards are. There are exams or tests that you can take. I'm sure they give a certification after that. I'm taking the course, but I'm not done yet, so I'm not sure if there's certification to be given after you've taken the course. But yes, go to the IFRS website. Try and take the course and see if there's certification for that as well. But if you know that regulation, you're already off to a good start on how the sustainability space is regulated. Okay, so I think that's it. In terms of skills, certifications, or experiences, I would say for experiences, start playing around sustainability reports, like I said earlier. Then for certifications, I would say the CFA ESG Institute certificates, the GRI certification, the IFRS S1 and S2 reporting certification from the ISSB. Those are the ones that come to mind currently. If some more come to mind, I'll put them in the description. Okay, so the next question is what common mistakes, or the last question is what common mistakes do career changers make when entering ESG? I think I touched on this a little earlier, that one of the biggest mistakes I see them make is just acquiring certificates. You're just taking every course and just acquiring certificates, acquire. No. Also get your hands dirty with projects. Projects do not have to mean paid projects, literally. You can go to any of these companies that report their sustainability data and start to tinkle with their reports. Put stuff out on LinkedIn, right? So, yeah, start with that. Play around a lot of reports that you see is a good way to gain experience as opposed to just acquiring certifications. Another mistake that I see people do is think that ESG is just environmental data. Nope. There's also the S part of ESG, which is social impacts. Then there's the corporate governance of things, how your company is managed, how your company is organized, the board members, all of that, how to ensure the company is a going concern, data privacy, cybersecurity, etc. So ESG is much more than environmental management. There's also social impact. When you hear people talk about DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, is the social impact side of things. When you hear about, these are our corporate social responsibilities, it's the social impact side of things. If you hear about how your employees are well taken care of, do they have health insurance? Can your employees brag that they are working in one of the good places to work in, right? What's your retention rate? Are you losing staff every year? That also falls under social impact. When you start to broaden your mind to ESG beyond the environment, you'll find that there are a lot of opportunities across the entire spectrum of ESG, from environment, social impact, and governance. So don't box yourself to the environment when you start to explore this field. Open your mind. It's a broad space. So another mistake that I see people make is trying to be experts in everything as well. As much as I'm saying, the last point I raised was that ESG is beyond the environment, it doesn't mean you should now be an expert in all the different aspects of ESG. There's supply risk management, there's cybersecurity, there's data privacy, there's the environment, climate risk analysis, right? There's reporting, there's analysis. There's so much you can do in the ESG space. You can't be everything. There's also the impact space in the ESG, the sustainability field. So my advice early on is to find out what you really like and look for the aspect of ESG that aligns with what you actually really like. For someone like me, I'm passionate about impact. You'll find that when I got into the ESG space newly, what I did was I started to volunteer for companies that were doing stuff around educating people on the SDGs. So I'm passionate about impact, and that was the side of sustainability that called out to me. And then eventually I got into the consulting side of things. With consulting, I'm able to spread my wings across different aspects of ESG without being boxed. So think about it. There are many areas you can go into. You can go into the impact space. You can go into the analysis space. You can go into the consulting space. So sit down well and ask yourself, what about the ESG space calls to me, right? What is it about ESG that I like? And then that will give you an idea of what aspects to get into. I think the last mistake I would mention for this conversation would be the mistake that I see tech professionals make, right? So especially when they start to build solutions around ESG, software as a service, SaaS, I see tech professionals making reporting platforms that are not even aligned to sustainability regulations. They just decided, there's a space here, let me do something. And then you try to go through the platform as a sustainability professional. You see that this person just built this platform because they know how to program. They didn't build it with the mind that a sustainability professional is going to need it. It's not aligned to any of the frameworks that we use. It's not aligned to the GRI. It's not aligned to the SASB. It's not aligned to the IFRS. It's just a reporting platform. So a big mistake, very, very big, especially if you want to start creating your own solutions, is to not have a good understanding of ESG and just think that your tech skills are sufficient. As much as you are learning the programming, learn the ESG as well. Find out how the ESG space works, who regulates, how do the policies come up, right? What are the different aspects of ESG? For example, ESG is so broad that there are specific regulations that govern environmental matters. There are different regulations that govern social matters. For example, the ILO, when it comes to labor, how your employees being cared for, the ILO is a significant regulation that regulates that, right? Aside from country laws, there are different regulations that apply to the different arms of ESG. If you don't know them and you just go and build a software, people will not be able to use it. Eventually, you have people onboarding and going out because they're like, this software, I can't renew my subscription. It's not worth the money or the time. So have a good understanding of your tech and a good understanding of ESG. You don't have to be a professional. You don't have to be the best, but have a good basic understanding of the subject matter. Okay, so those are your 4 questions. I really hope I've been able to answer them. If you have any further questions, please leave them in the comments. I'll read it, and if I need to make a separate video for it, I promise you I will. So I just thought to answer those questions for now. All right. So that's it for this episode of transitioning from whatever career path you're in into sustainability. Today's episode was for tech bros and tech sisters. Next video will be on how to transition from the impact space into ESG. But that's it for now. My name is Agatha Femike, your host. See you all next week. Do not forget to like, subscribe, share to your friends that are trying to transition as well. Don't be selfish. All right, guys. See you all next week. Bye.